My name is Sienna. I go to Parsons and my major is fine arts.
What do you struggle with in terms of mental health?
With mental health, I struggle with depression and anxiety.
Okay. When did you first notice some symptoms?
The first time I noticed symptoms of depression, I was 12 years old.
And can you elaborate on that a little bit?
So the reason why my symptoms started is at 12, I went to a new school and I was bullied, and that's when I started to feel... Shall we do?
Again, just start off with your story again.
Okay. So I first started to notice my symptoms of depression was when I was 12, and it started because I was bullied throughout middle school, and it started to make me feel isolated, and that's when the depression symptoms started to come in. I started to have suicidal ideation and self-harm thoughts, and that's really when it started for me.
Okay. Do you feel like it's been a different experience in high school compared to college?
I feel like the experience between high school and college is actually pretty similar for me. The end of high school was really rough, especially towards applying to colleges. My anxiety was very intense and my depression started to spiral out of control. And during the beginning of college, because I'm a transfer student from a different college, I was not doing the major I loved, and it made me very depressed. But now that I'm at Parsons, it's starting to go away, and I'm starting to be able to manage my depression and anxiety because I'm actually following my passion.
Mm-hmm. Can you tell us about I know the story, but can you tell us about how you went to medical school and everyone wanted you to become a doctor, but you wanted to do art, so tell us about that.
Originally, I went to University of Miami for pre-med. I did this because everyone in my family is a doctor, and it's kind of what was expected of me. But I always wanted to do art, but my family told me that artists don't make anything, and I would not make it in this world, and I would be a starving artist, and they would not help me. So I went to University of Miami, did pre-med for 1 semester, and I dropped out. And when I came back home, I was actually more depressed because I felt like I was aimless and I had lost my path, and I let my family down. And then when they saw how depressed I was, they let me apply to Parsons to do art.
Okay. Now, does living in a busy and lively city like New York help your situation or make it worse?
Living in New York City when you're depressed can be really great, but also really horrible, because it's helpful to know that there's a bunch of people around you, but at the same time, it can feel isolating, and it can feel like you're just one face of many and that you don't mean anything. So there's pros and cons of living in New York City. It just depends on how you view it and your type of personality. For me, it actually helps. I like being around a lot of people. It makes me feel like less lonely.
Is there any place in particular around the school or city that makes you feel at ease or better in general, like an escape of sorts?
Yes. So I have one place in New York City that I use as my escape when I'm feeling depressed. It's actually my friend's house. Because I go there because I never really had a concrete home. I always moved around a lot, and I never felt like I had a place where I could rely on it for it to always be there. But his house has not changed since the day that I met him, so it's really calming to walk into his apartment and to just see everything exactly how it was like a few years ago, and that's my safe spot in New York City.
And now, how do you think the health services are here at the new school?
I've not used the health services at the new school yet.
How's your, obviously you've not used it, so we will cut that out. Do you think mental illness is portrayed accurately in the media? Is it shown too much or not enough?
I think mental illness is not portrayed accurately in the media. I think that it's glorified and romanticized. and I think that it actually causes a lot of problems because a lot of shows are created, such as 13 Reasons Why, and it is shown as something that is, it's not portrayed correctly at all.
And you gave me an example, but is there any other example you want to talk about of like portrayal in the media that you found particularly helpful or to be accurate, or the opposite completely?
One time, I remember for a friend, not for me, I was looking up the suicide hotline to contact them because she was having a really severe depression episode and I thought she was going to commit suicide, so I went on their site, and for each different like symptom, like, oh, are you depressed, they have like little pictures. Pictures were ridiculous, so stupid. It was like, picture, oh, are you feeling suicidal, and the person's like, I don't think it's portrayed correctly. It's like taken either too lightly or it's like overdone. So there's no in between, and I don't think the media has yet to capture the true feeling of depression.
And what aspects in this school environment do you feel makes dealing with mental illnesses worse or better?
I think that in the new school, I don't know.
You want to skip this one?
Yeah.
Okay, we can skip it, that's fine. Okay. What are some activities or things you do to make yourself feel better apart from therapy? Do you take therapy? Yeah, so just say that I take therapy and then something else.
So to make myself feel better, I not only go to therapy, but I also like to paint. That's why my major is fine arts. But I like to paint and I like to draw, and that helps me a lot when I'm feeling really down or anxious.
And what advice would you give to other people who are going through a similar situation as you in this environment?
The advice that I would give people that are in this environment that also feel depressed or anxious is that I feel like everyone at Parsons or in the new school in general has some sort of mental health problem, and I feel like all artists struggle with something. I feel like that's what makes us creative. It's that we all have a problem deep down inside of us that we use creative outlets to really show. So you're not alone, and you will never be alone with this. Even if you go outside of the new school, there's always going to be someone that's feeling the exact same way as you. Yeah.
Should we end it there? No, wait, don't stop it. Is there any other question? Like,
No, unless you
think
can
that's
think of
a-
some.
is that a good note to end on?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. We're good. Thank you.
No problem. Can I?
Do we need her to say anything else for the end? I think that's fine. Okay, we're good.
Okay. Got it.
Cut.